Good news, everybody. Evil Genius Zero here, about to talk to you about the pilot episode of Lost. So this is going to be the premiere episode of our Lost Club, or the club for Lost. Um, Fortunately, and strangely coincidentally, today, May 23rd, 2017, is exactly 7 years to the day from when the finale of the original airing of Lost was. I happen to know that because Facebook told me about it. I made a quote, or I made a reference to that episode on that day, and it showed up in my time hop. So, we're going to talk fully about the episode, the full 2-hour pilot. So spoilers for that, and basic spoilers for the next couple of episodes, because I know the character names, and so I'm going to refer to them by their character names. And, not all of the characters have been technically formally introduced. For instance, John Locke is just an old dude as of right now. And he's a very important character in the show. So, let me start from the top. Jack, he's a doctor. He's got this, hero complex where he's trying to save everyone, and that's it for now. We don't know too much about anybody yet because it's obviously really early on, but we know he's a doctor. He saves a couple people and uses medical things and says, "I'm a doctor," every chance he gets. We also have met Kate. We know by the end of the episode that Kate is a prisoner returning from Australia. We don't know anything else about her. She helps out Jack. She seems like a fairly helpful character, but we don't really know anything about her. Hurley, he's just there for moral support. He's a big fat dude. He's a really nice guy so far. Maybe he's evil later. We'll see. I'm just messing around. Michael and Walt are father-son. And Walt's mother just recently died, and he was living with his mother, but not with his father. And so they were returning to Michael's home from Walt's home. And Walt is not really happy about it. Sorry, that might be a spoiler for a couple episodes in or whatever, but we kind of have the general feeling from that, right? Jin and Sun is another pairing coming into this. They are Korean. They do not speak English. They are not named, so that's a little bit of a spoiler right there. And they are very, very conservative. But again, Jin seems to want to help people, but he doesn't want anyone really talking to his wife. It's really weird. Or girlfriend, or whatever she is. Spoilers. She's his wife. Sorry. Sawyer is an American. He's Southern. He's presented to make snap judgments about people, and be kind of shady, so far. But he also is the only reason that 5 people survive a bear attack. Yes, a fucking polar bear attacks 5 people, and he happens to have a gun, so he shoots it, and kills it. Boone and Maggie. These are adult-ish, young 20s maybe, brother and sister. He wants to help people when he's in situations where he thinks he could. He apparently used to be a lifeguard, and so he wants to use his CPR to help somebody, but he's doing a really piss poor job of it. And Shannon is a bitch. It's kind of it. Man, she's just an annoying fucking bitch. And that might be spoilers for the entire run, because she just seems to be a giant bitch and annoying. She spends the first half of the 2-part episode doing her nails and expecting everyone else to help her, and not really help her in the moment. She's expecting to get rescued, which, is kind of understandable, but like she also isn't doing anything for herself in the moment. Like she's not eating, and there's food around, and like stuff like that. She's basically like taking a beach day. It's kind of ridiculous. There are two other characters I still haven't talked about. One is Saeed. He is an Iraqi person. He might be like Iraqi American. I'm not entirely like he might be an immigrant to America. I'm not entirely sure. But he did serve in the Iraqi military, and he seems to be one of the most useful people to surviving, because he knows how to fix the radio, things like that. The last character I want to talk about is Charlie. Charlie is somewhat famous. People recognize him kind of, but they can't really place it. He was part of a band, or is part of a band, but the fact that people can't recognize him kind of implies that he's past his prime. Also, he's addicted to some kind of drug. It looks to me like it's probably going to be heroin because it's brown. Usually, like white would be cocaine, and it's not like he's smoking it. He's like rubbing it in his mouth and shit like that. Who knows? For all I know, it could be anything else. Although I've seen the show in its entirety. It's heroin. Spoilers. Although not big ones. There are a couple other like minor characters, like the woman that Jack saves at the beginning. Her name is Rose. And then there's a U.S. Marshal on the plane that was taking Kate back to her trial or whatever. And maybe somebody else that might be escaping my mind. So those are the characters. It's cool. They're very diverse, although mostly white people. They have different motivations, different reasons for being on the plane, different reasons for wanting to survive what they want to survive, and their outlook on life is different from each other, very diverse. In thought, at least, if not in appearance. There's not too much. Again, like 60% of the characters are white, and then there's like an Asian couple and a black couple, and yada yada yada. Which I guess that's just what you're going to expect in 2004 or even 2017 network TV. Setting. So the setting is that everyone that you're seeing survived a plane crash. And they kind of just end up on the beach. You don't really see anybody getting out of chairs or anything like that. So it's kind of like this weird situation, right? It doesn't really make sense, but okay. Like Jack wakes up in a grove of like bamboo in grass, and that's it. Like he's just there. And that's the opening of the show, is his eye opening. It's cool though, because they're on this island. There doesn't seem to be anyone else on the island, as far as like human inhabitants. There's no buildings. There's no there's no trash. There's no evidence of human activity on the island, and so you have these people. They're perfectly shipwrecked. They explain in the episode that even if someone starts to look for them, they're going to be looking in the completely wrong area, because the plane was kind of off course when it crashed. The plane is broken up into multiple different segments. We know of at least two of them, but there was a third part that broke off, some other place. And so it's a cool setting. Definitely a survival situation. They have limited resources, just what happened to land near them. And they're going to have to figure out shelters and stuff like that, and how they're going to organize and those kinds of things. It's a really cool setting. towards the end, towards the middle of the episode, they introduce the concept of the monster. Which the first time I saw this, I thought for sure it was like going to be like a T-Rex or something. And I don't know why. I think maybe someone suggested that to me because I'd watched it the first couple episodes a little late. But I don't know why I thought that, because the sounds that you hear they sound almost like an alarm, like a car alarm or something like that, and they sound almost like just mechanical. They sound very mechanical. It it moves the bushes and stuff like that around, but you don't really know anything about it. The only person it outright attacks that we can see is the pilot, and it's just kind of when he would be helpful, right? Like he's saying like things that are important for everyone to know, but like that's all he does. He serves his like function, and then he gets immediately killed by this monster in an unseen way, despite the fact that there are characters right there that should totally see what happens. So the cool thing about the monster is that it gives a central conflict for all of the characters, right? The same thing with the polar bear, which happens later. Maybe the polar bear is part of the monster. Who knows? Or maybe there's a lot of polar bears. You know, who knows? The cool thing, like I said, so the cool thing about the monster is it gives a central conflict that everyone is going to have to fight against or work against to survive, which is also the case in survival, but to some extent, like, they might be incentivized to work against their, the other survivors, in that they're going to be competing for resources and stuff like that. But the monster, it kind of requires that they're going to work together, or at least that's what the expectation would be amongst like reasonable people. So it's kind of cool that it's there. Themes I want to talk about from this show. So obviously the theme of survival. It's going to be ever present. They're going to have to work towards creating structures and creating something out of nothing. Basically, they're living in this place. There are resources. There's wood all around them. There's some animal, fish, that kind of stuff. They have, but they don't have water. They're gonna have to figure out how to get water. They're gonna have to figure out, where to go to the bathroom and how to wash up, because like right now they show the characters washing up, a couple of characters washing up in the ocean, and like that's not good, man. That's gonna be, that's no. They're gonna be sticky and shit, and the sand, it's gonna get everywhere. And there's gonna be rashes. It's not gonna be good. It's just not gonna be good. And then, like, a lot of them are staying out in the sun for like significant periods of the day. They're gonna get burned like motherfuckers. I mean, these are white people on a fucking island. 60% of them are white, and they're gonna burn to a crisp. They gotta figure that shit out, because there ain't no aloe vera there. They're gonna have to depend on each other, and again, the monster draws into that too. But like just surviving, they're really, again, going to have to work together for that to work out. So another thing they're going to have to do, or another theme, is that they can't depend on the outside world, right? Because there's no chance that they're going to be rescued. Like, the pilot speaks about where they were supposed to be versus where they are, and it's like thousands of miles off. They're looking, the people who are going to try and rescue them are coming to the wrong place, and they're never going to find them. Kind of like what happened with the Malaysia flight years later, which is why there were so many parallels to that, and people brought them up at the time. Funny and important things from the show. It was kind of funny. You know what? I never talked about Claire, the pregnant lady. She's pregnant. Sorry, guys. But there's not really too much to it. She has like a neat little moment with Jin when he feeds her food. But, Sorry, a little off track on that one. Funny and important things, that's one of them. Like, she has this, beautiful moment with this guy who can't speak to her when, her baby starts kicking again, and she thought that maybe the baby, from the context, she had thought maybe the baby was dead from some sort of trauma relating to the crash. It was really interesting, the dynamic between Jin and Sun, in that, like, he's trying to, like, pick stuff from the ocean to, like, feed himself, her, and other people, and she's just there trying to, like, she tries to help him out, I think, and he kind of just shuts her down. And then when Michael comes along, he, like, basically yells at her to cover up because she's got one button undone up top, and it's like this. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a big deal. I really liked one of the lines Sawyer said earlier, towards the thing, and it was like, "I'm a complex guy, sweetheart." It was just funny. I just think it's a funny line. And then the episode ends with Charlie saying, "Guys, where are we?" Where are they, indeed? They're on an island. No one knows. It's a good show. It's got a good start. We're gonna see, what happens down the line. There was also another character moment, neat character moment with Kate, where earlier in the show Jack had said something about his first surgery and how, like, he learned this, like, thing where he was gonna allow himself to be completely scared in the moment, but only for, like, a couple of seconds, and then after that he was just gonna do whatever he had to do to save someone's life. In the context of that story, and she is in this life or death situation, and she panics and runs off, and she just sits there and counts to 5, which is what he kind of said, and then she, is able to resume normal activity. That's kind of all I have to say about the first 2 episodes. I also don't want this to go too long. We're about 20 minutes in. I'm probably going to cut it off here. I would expect me to do 2 or 3 episodes for the next video, because I just think that, like, these episodes are going to be, there's a lot of them. There's just a lot of them, guys, and I don't want to do, like, several hundred of these, 20-minute episodes. So I'll probably just try and stick to a couple episodes per video. So let's just call it right now and say 2 minimum, 3 maybe. And today is Tuesday. I'm putting it up today. So by next Tuesday, which would be the day after Memorial Day, can't think of what date that's actually going to be. So that'll be when the next one goes up, most likely. And we'll have a little Tuesdays with Maury type situation where I talk about, this stuff. Yeah, that's kind of it. If you have any questions, please feel free to, message me on YouTube or leave a comment, or, get me at Evil Genius Zero on Facebook. My next video will be a user request. A user contacted me through Facebook and was like, "Hey, I'd like to see what you think about Marvel and DC." And so I've been thinking about it for the last couple hours, and I think that what I'm going to do is actually maybe 1 or 2 videos talking about different things in the contrast between those two. I'm going to try and shoot for around 20 minutes for my videos. I realized that, like, Master of None was 40 minutes and was probably, like, 27 minutes too long or something like that. And I actually did another Lost video last night in which I talked for 40-ish minutes, and I just ended up not liking it, so I'm not going to use it. I'm going to use this one. If you guys like longer videos or shorter videos, you can also, reach out. If you have any requests, please let me know. I would love to think about what you guys are talk about what you guys are interested in, as long as those align. So there we go. Thanks for letting me talk it out, bitch, and I will see you next time.